Hello guys, how's it going? AlexTheGrumpyOne here, hope you're well. Today we've got a Celica GT in the workshop again. It's been a while, I've been driving the car now, so it's time to replace rear discs and pads. A lot of you requested the video on how to adjust the handbrake or how to do the brakes. I'm going to do both of them in one today because obviously I'm going to need to adjust the handbrake once I replace the discs. We're going to check everything. I'm going to take you through the whole procedure of replacing discs and pads and adjusting the handbrake. Obviously going to give you the torque settings, the tools needed for the job, and obviously show you my way of doing the job. So that is something you're interested in, please tune in, subscribe, give us a like and comment below. So the first thing to do guys, straight away before you start doing anything, you need to have a look at the brake fluid bottle that you got here, and you got the level. Obviously as you can see there's quite a lot of brake fluid in there, and because we're going to be pushing the brake fluid back in there by squeezing the cylinders, you need a lot more room in here for it to go up. So what you have to do is you have to get the top off. Unless your one is actually below the maximum, somewhere down there, you don't have to worry about it, but still keep an eye on it. But at this condition, I will have to get some of the brake fluid out of there. And there's a couple of tools you can use. One is vacuum and one is using the air compressor. I'm going to show you the vacuum one today. So this is the vacuum tool that I got, that you can buy it on Amazon. I'm going to put a link in the description below. It's the best tool to use to obviously get the brake fluid out of there or to bleed your brakes as well. Really handy guys. So pretty nice and easy as well to use. It's just a little handle there, get a pipe in there, start pumping, and you'll see you're going to start sucking the fluid out into the bottle. Just, yeah, that should be enough. Kind of in the middle between minimum and maximum. I'm pretty sure there's going to be more than enough room for us to retract all the brake fluid in there. Now the other important thing is to make sure you obviously got the right discs and pads for the job. Obviously double check it with your reg number or your VIN number that you got the right parts for the job before you start taking everything apart. But I'm going to put the link in the description below for this edition. This is 190 VVTL-I GT edition. So link will be in the description below, and the same for the tools that I'm using as well. So the next step will be a good idea to probably take the wheel off, and to do that please make sure, obviously I know not everyone got a car lift, so make sure you're using the correct points when you jack it up with your trolley jack, and use the jack stands please. Make sure that the car can go forward, so block the front wheels so they can't move forward. Jack it up both sides probably at the same time, and use your jack stands in the correct places under the seals there. Make sure that the seals are not rotten, and obviously let's get the wheel off. So I got my draper gun here. Okay, so just a quick look here what we're going to need to do. This rubber bit will need to come out to release the handbrake because the wheel is in there. You need the flat blade screwdriver to turn the wheel afterwards, but I'll get to that in a second. Now what we're going to need to do first, usually I push the pad back in the cylinder at this stage with the screwdriver. I push it in so it's easier to remove them off of there. The first step will be to remove this metal clip there because it's holding the pins. We're going to need to remove the pins all the way out of there, and they're quite corroded, so you might need a punch to go on the other side and punch them out. But like I said, first we need to remove the locking clip out of there. So then we're going to punch both of these pins out. Hopefully they'll come out, and then you'll be able to remove the pads out. Once they're removed, we're going to undo the bolts that hold in the carrier there. So there's one there and one at the bottom. Remove both of them, make sure everything's nice and free, and the caliper will be able to come off. Just watch out the brake hose so we don't bend it or stretch it. Just rest the caliper on there, and once that's removed we are able to remove the discs. So like I said, get a big flat blade screwdriver and try and move the pad in. In this case they're probably going to be quite seasoned there with all the corrosion. Yeah, quite seized. I'm not going to be able to move the cylinder at the moment, so we're going to need the water pump grips on here, but I will remove the clips like I mentioned. So you can get a flat blade screwdriver behind it. That released the top pin now, and then we got two of them to remove. That's one. Make sure you put them somewhere safe. Make note how they go in there before you take them off. That's another one. And now we got the clip that needs to come out of the bottom one. There you go. That's both of them out as well. Okay, so hopefully using the water pump grips, I'm going to be able to push the cylinder back a little bit to make it easier for me to remove it. So that's good, that will do. That helps me a little bit. Now you can try and push the caliper this way, but I think the sliders are a little bit seized up. And to remove them, sometimes you can use a bit of maintenance spray where they're sitting, but obviously the one that's going all over your brakes, although we are replacing them, but it depends if you're replacing them or not. Just be careful. What I usually do is I tap around them and tap on the end to hopefully break them loose a little bit. And tap on the side there. Okay, so to remove the bolts, 40mm at the top, 40mm at the bottom. So get the 40mm spanner on there because you haven't got a lot of room to get the ratchet on there. Get on there. These bolts definitely gonna need a bit of cleaning. There's quite a bit of corrosion on them. That's the top one out. Slide the caliper off now. So what we need to make sure is that obviously the seal that we got here is not split, that no water's getting there, that the piston will go back all the way, and the other important thing is make sure that these bits, the sliders, are moving. Well, at the moment they're not actually, so we're going to need to check the seal, see if there's corrosion, probably get them out all the way and clean it with the wire wheel or sandpaper. But yeah, at the moment, as you can see, they're not moving at all, and it is really important for them to move. If not, you're going to get uneven wear on your brakes, noise, and obviously seizing up brakes. Okay, so I'm going to rest it on there, make sure the hose is all right, get the punch on there and try and hit it. That started to move. As you can see, it started to move already. It come out a little bit, but like I said, the corrosion is getting in the way now. So I'm going to carry on heating it, just make sure it's coming out all the way. Might need slightly different size punch. Okay, as you can see, it's coming out. And here we are. That's the pin out completely. And like I said, the pin has got a hole in it. If you see there, there's a hole. This is where those little clips were going in to lock it in place, because we're obviously going to clean this up on the wire wheel or with sandpaper to make sure it goes nice and easy in there for the new pads. So we're going to put it to the side and do the same to the other pin now. Knock this one out. And here we are, the second pin is out as well. So now the pad should just slide out of there, unless it's a bit corroded as well. Give it a tap. There you go. The pad is out, so that's good. Now just to show you where the pads are sitting, you will need to clean this with the file or sandpaper to make sure it's nice and even there. The same at the top here as well. Make sure there's no corrosion there, because you want the pads to be able to move in and out without getting stuck there, because that will cause uneven wear as well. So make sure you clean up with the file there, and you'll see when you put the new pad that it's going to be nice and free in there. So like I said, with the disc, get the rubber cover off, the dust cover, then get a light, and as you turn the disc, you'll be able to find the little wheel. It's at the bottom there. So get a screwdriver inside, and all you have to do is you have to turn it, push it from the top to the bottom, so you're pretty much going this way, you're turning the wheel this way. So if you're looking from behind the car, you're turning it clockwise. So just push it down, and you'll see that it's releasing the discs. So at this stage, the disc probably will come off now. give it a wiggle. Now sometimes you can have a buildup of rust around here, around the hub. So in that case, you can always use 2 bolts to go in the threads there to start pushing it off. Or I usually just hit it with the hammer in this area, all around this area, or at the back of the disc if you're replacing the disc, and you'll see it'll come off. But at this stage, because we released the shoes, there you go, there's your disc off. There's a lip on it as well. Yeah, this disc is not in very good condition at all. There's a big lip on there. It's all corroded, so that's not looking good, and you can see the inside of the disc is rubbish as well. So yeah, now we got our shoes here. We're going to clean them up with the brake cleaner, grease everything up and make sure that everything is moving how it should do. And I'm going to explain you how to adjust the handbrake as well. Okay, so you want to spray the brake cleaner all around there, on the shoes and around there. You might have to clean it up with the sandpaper as well. Obviously make sure you got something on the floor to catch it all. So you might need to clean the shoes with the sandpaper if they got uneven wear on them to even it all out. But they're actually looking quite good. I'm surprised because this didn't. So at this stage we're going to put a bit of grease behind there where they move, where the shoes move on the back plate. So we're going to put a bit of grease in there at the bottom as well to make sure, avoid the noise and make it easier for it to move when you're applying the handbrake. So what you do is you get the screwdriver behind there, get copper grease and get it behind there on the contact points. You can see where they are, and the same you got at the bottom, contact point there with the back plate. Make sure it's in there. At the top there as well, if you got the spray grease, it's even better. It gets into more places. And the same on the other shoe. Get behind there. And the same goes for the hub, where you're going to be applying the new disc to avoid corrosion or getting seized on the hub. Put a bit of copper grease around the hub there. Okay, so what happens on the handbrake adjustment on the Celicas, and it's the same on T-Sport, Yaris's, and quite a few Toyotas or other cars that got this adjustment system. So what you do, obviously when this are here, you got the hole that you get through. That's the wheel that you turn. So in this case, when we turn it down, so when the screwdriver was going down, or I put it this way, it was going clockwise if you look at it this way, then it's releasing the handbrake. The shoes are going in, so you can remove the disc, and at that stage the handbrake is really slack, so there is no obviously performance of the handbrake. So what you do, once you cleaned everything up, you put the disc back on, and through the hole what you do is you go up with it. So you turn the wheel up, which it kind of pushes the shoes out. You'll see the thread there, you're going to start coming out. So it pushes the shoes out inside the discs. And what happens is you want to adjust it till it completely stops the hub turning with the shoes on, or with the disc on, sorry. I usually put one of the bolts on there to make sure that the disc is on there flat. So once it stopped turning, what you do is you go back in here and you release it. So you turn it down, I don't know, like 5 or 6 teeth, and then you get in the car. You obviously have to do this at the same time with the other side, the other back discs. You adjust it at the same time, and then you jump in the car, you pull the handbrake up, and what you want is 4 to 8 clicks on the handbrake lever, and that is perfect adjustment, guys. And obviously make sure that it's holding the disc properly. But once you adjust it, do pull the lever a few times to make sure it adjusts itself in there, loosens it up a little bit. But yeah, that is how you adjust it, and I'm going to show you now what you do with the discs on. So important bit when you put in the discs on, when you got the new disc, please make sure you clean it with the brake cleaner all around there on the surfaces. The same on the inside. Make sure you clean it in there, because manufacturers put grease on them to keep them from getting corrosion while in storage. So the same on the inside here where the shoe's going to be. Clean it all with the brake cleaner. Once it's all clean, get them on there nice and flat. And like I said, what I usually do is I start the wheel nut on there, do it up a little bit by hand. That way I know that the disc is on there flat, because if the disc is slightly pissed, it's not going to adjust the handbrake correctly, because once you put the wheel on, you're obviously going to go flat on there, and then there will be uneven tolerance on there, so you need to make sure that this is completely flat on the hub when you're adjusting the handbrake. So do it up, and now you're ready to get in there, get a light, get a flat blade screwdriver, and what we do is going up. Let me just get in the right place. So let's go up, and you'll feel it going tighter as the shoes come out all the way and hit the discs. There you go. So I went all the way up. At this stage you shouldn't be able to turn the disc. That's stopped now. So there you go, that's completely stopped on there. So it's like if you had a handbrake on. Alright, so what we do now, you get back in there and you turn it down. So I'm gonna go, that's one turn, that's another turn, there you go. As you can see, they're turning now. So just to repeat again, all the way up. This is not turning anymore, and then get in there again and go down with it until it releases it. There you go, that's perfect. Okay guys, so I had this out. They're gonna leave this bit for the full rebuild of the caliper video, but as you can see there's a lot of grease now. So what I had to do, they were really seized in there, but as you can see they're moving now, so that's good. So I had to get the whole thing out of there, past the seals. There was a lot of rust in there. I've cleaned it up with the sandpaper and also wire wheel. So it's cleaned up. I've put a lot of brake grease in there on the whole slider and inside the seals that you got there. So there's a lot of brake grease to help it moving, avoid corrosion. And exactly the same at the bottom one here, as you can see, it's moving now, so that's all good. So at this stage I'm ready. Just make sure when you put the caliper back on that the hose is not twisted, so it goes in how it was. So all you have to do obviously now is get your bolts. I've also cleaned up, while we're here, I've cleaned up our pins while I use the wire wheel. I know they don't look perfect, but they are clean and they will go in, they'll slide in alright. And I've also cleaned up the bolts. So as you can see, the bolts are all clean, the one that was corroded. So that's looking much better now. So what we're going to do now is literally get the caliper on there. The long bolt goes at the top one, the short bolt goes at the bottom one. They need to be all the way in there to fit them back on. So get it on there, start one of them, yep, and then align the bottom one, stay up as well, finger tight. And then obviously don't forget to do them up. The torque settings I will put in description below, so please double check that to do them up, guys. They need to be torqued up correctly to avoid any issues, please. So make sure you do that. So once they are on, the bolts, I've done them up. It's important to make sure that it's moving, that the sliders are moving. As you can see, when you're going to be putting the pads back in, just put it in the middle position and then start fitting the pads. When you remove the pads, it is important to make a note how they were in there, because one of the pads has got the brake wear indicator, the little metal clip that you got there. So you can see by the mark of the pad it was on the cylinder side. So as you can see there, we got the new pads. Put a bit of copper grease on that side and on the sliding bits, top and bottom. So now we're ready to put that on. Make sure you don't get any copper grease on the actual pads, because that will make your brakes horrible. It's not going to perform as it should. So that one is in. We can slide the caliper in to hold it in there and fit the other side one. There you go, that's the other one in. So obviously now you're going to need your pins, and if they're nice and clear, you'll be able to just push them in there with no effort at all. And make sure you align the holes obviously for your clips to go in. Same with the top one. Push the pad out a little bit, all the way through, adjust the other pad. This is just to give you a clear shot of how to put the pins back in once the pads are in there. So that goes in there, little curved bit goes on the other side, and then you pull it in and locate it in the hole. So that's one locked in, then you do the other one, that goes there, this on the other side, that in the middle. And then obviously you got the locking bits. As you can see, the shape of them will lock them in. So if they're not completely aligned, because they're clean, we can move them easily. So get a tiny little screwdriver in the hole, or the actual tool, locate that in the hole. That's one locked in, and then the same with the top one. Make sure that the hole is there. There we are. Okay, the tool in there, and that is it. That's not going to go anywhere because of the shape of it. But like I said, because we cleaned them up, they're nice and free in there. It was nice and easy to do it. So at this stage, unless you're bleeding your brakes, you are done. Just please make sure you've done up your 14 mils there. The torque setting is in the description below. Please double check it. And yeah, I think we're ready to put the wheel back on and obviously do the other side. But I'm hoping that I don't need to show you the other side, because obviously I've showed you how to do this side. The other side is exactly the same. So here we are, the discs are on, the pads are on, everything's nice and free. So we've done all the job here, guys. Obviously you got the other side to do now, but please make sure you do everything up. Make sure the hose is how it should be. It's all done up there, that the pins are all secure in there, so they're not just going to come out. Please make sure you're careful when you're doing this job. Like I say, I'm giving you my way of doing the job, and it's obviously the correct way that I've learned to do this job. So I'm just giving you my knowledge, and hopefully it will help you to do your job. So once you've done all of this, don't forget to clean the discs. Make sure you double check the brake fluid level in your bottle at the top there. Make sure if it's not on max, top it up. Obviously once you've done the other side, if you need to take a little bit more of the brake fluid out of there, take it out. In case you spill a bit of brake fluid on the bodywork, please wash it off with water straight away, because it will damage your paintwork very quickly. Now, the important bit here, obviously do everything up, put the wheels back on. The torque setting for the wheels is going to be in the description below as well, so torque them up as well. And double check your handbrake, make sure it feels right. But when you start driving, don't go crazy straight away, guys. Once you fit new discs and pads, or just the pads, please make sure you drive it slowly and use your brakes first, because there's a process called bedding, and that's what happens when you put the new discs on your pads in there. So they need to obviously bed in while you're driving. So use your brakes nice and slowly, don't go crazy. Drive the car for about 5-10 miles, and you'll see that the brakes are going to start feeling better as well once they bed in. So yeah, just please be careful, guys. And like I said, I hope you enjoyed the video, find it helpful. I mean, you see all the tools that you're going to need for the job as well, and how to do the handbrake adjustment. So yeah, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you give us a comment below, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.